gorgeous caramel, as I like to refer to myself.
What is the great things about being mixed? Go.
Mixing.
Welcome, Drew.
Thanks.
You are my first actual guest on this sofa.
What a pleasure.
I know. So this
Hi.
is because it was the pandemic. We've always had a laptop there. So you're
I'm the first human.
Yeah, exactly. You're the
Oh,
first.
nice.
Tell me, and tell everyone obviously, who you are.
I'm a graphic designer for movies.
Graphic designer, massive.
I work on movies, TV shows and stuff like that. I'm Cardiff based.
What? Hold on. Don't just say that like that.
I'm currently on a movie called Havoc. It's like a Netflix feature film.
All Cardiff people know this.
Yeah, sex education before this.
Oh.
And it just goes back and stuff like that. But yeah, so I do the graphics and stuff for those things.
So you are a graphic designer for films?
Yes.
Or is it called film designer?
No, because the film designer would be the production designer.
Yes.
So that would be the person who's designing the bigger picture. My job is or she says, there we're gonna put a shot, and I'll say, okay, that shot will be this. We'll do this color scheme, and we'll put this design on there. So they're bigger picture. We'll do a city, and then I put the details
That's
on my team.
Super cool job.
Enjoy it. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Which is good. And yeah, Cardiff based, generally move around a lot, but Cardiff born and bred.
Yeah. What is your heritage?
I was born in Cardiff, so I'm Welsh. My mother was born in Cardiff. Her mother was Irish, so my grandmother. Her father was Belgian. Her grandfather was Greek.
Okay.
So that's that side. My dad is St. Kitts, so the Caribbean. And
Beautiful St. Kitts.
my granddad was, obviously born in St. Kitts. My grandmother was born in St. Kitts, but she was half Portuguese, half Scottish.
Do you classify your dad as a black man? Or is he mixed?
He and my uncles are black, and they are proud to be black. And they tell me,
Of course.
you're black.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh.
So you don't identify as black?
No, I don't.
What do you identify as?
Mixed race.
Okay.
Nice and vague.
Okay. So do you know what I started calling myself? Black mixed.
Black mixed.
Yep.
Interesting.
I think in every episode I'm going to call myself something different. Because last one I said I say mixed when I'm asked, but now I'm saying as a mixed black woman.
Interesting. I've never heard that terminology.
I think I might be making it up. But that's okay, because everyone thinks I'm black.
Yeah.
So I don't want to deny that.
Okay.
But I am mixed.
Yeah.
So I say mixed black woman.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I definitely identify as mixed race. I've never been, as you can imagine, my complexion, I've never been white enough to be white. I've never been black enough to be black. I'm mixed.
For me, and I'm sure for other black people, because obviously we have within our own black communities. I'm not going to go to white communities because we know white communities just classify us as person of color. Mm-hmm. But even for black communities, I think that they will probably call you white.
Yeah. My cousins who are black call me white.
You're too white for them.
But I'm too white. There's not enough cocoa in my milk. I don't have enough seasoning to them. But then on the other side, you flip the script, and I'm not white. No one has ever said, you're white. Who's white? It's only ever been black.
So why do you think your dad and your uncles tell you you're black?
They grew up in South Wales in the 60s, 70s and 80s. And they're dark-skinned. They identify as black, and they were black. And the South Wales community of black people in Cardiff specifically was a very small community. Docks, Grangetown and stuff, not even Grangetown, it's more Docks.
Butte.
Yeah.
Butte Town, Butte Street.
Yeah, because even at the time they were talking about it, saying that even Grangetown was white. So it was like,
yes,
they were black. And then my granddad made the choice to move to Pentwyn to buy a new build. And everyone in the community said to him, don't do it because they don't like black people over there. And my granddad actually said, I'm going to do it because of that, and then move to Penn Twin. But because of that, as a side effect, my uncles, they were very much black, and my auntie as well. My auntie's very light-skinned, but she identifies as black. And they were born in St. Kitts.
I see. So your dad grew up in Penn Twin then?
Yeah. Or actually they grew up in Butte and the Docks, moved to Grangetown, moved to Macintosh Place, and then moved to Penn Twin.
I also live there, and it isn't a very black area. Or
especially in the time, we're talking the 80s.
Oh my God.
Very small community.
What do they tell you about those times? Or have they told you about those
loads.
times?
I mean, they don't actively tell, especially my granddad. My granddad recently passed away, actually, about 3 weeks ago.
Sorry.
That's okay. And he was my hero, but he was...
Oh, that's the one you posted on Instagram.
Yes, yeah. My uncles talk about it a lot. My granddad, you really had to dig because he was Windrush. So, during his time, he felt shame when he came here because he was sold the dream of, you're British, come to Britain, we love you, we can't wait for you to get here. And he got here and it was a lie. And it was racism and horrible environments and stuff. So my granddad was a very positive person and a very talkative and friendly person. Whenever I asked him about his times, he would say, this happened. Like, I had this, he had so many racial attacks, but he'd say things like, but I went to the pub with Irishmen and I was friends with Italians and and he would always look at the human in front of him and judge them where they are, who they are at that moment. He was never like, all people are one thing. He's a very positive person. So
his terrible experiences didn't turn him bitter, you
No.
don't think?
Not at all. And especially the white, everyone loved my granddad. He was a hero, and especially the white side of my family, they loved my granddad. They called him Mr. Foster, and they never called him Ron. His name was Ron. They never called him Ron. He was always Mr. Foster, and everyone loved him. And my granddad was just the kindest, friendliest person, and was also very good with women. He was a charmer. He was never bitter at all. Never.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about your dad? Has your dad told you stories?
No, my dad...
About especially, sorry to cut you,
Sorry?
but especially being married to a white woman.
He wasn't married. They weren't married. They were together for
being together.
20 years. My dad doesn't speak much. He doesn't say much. And he's very to himself. So I barely know anything about my dad. My uncle, who's his identical twin, speaks loads.
Okay.
And my other uncles as well.
Did you hear from your uncle? Because they practice the same people.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, I was like, no exaggeration, was so confused until I was about 7. I had no idea which one was which. Because my dad wasn't around much when I was a kid. So I see my uncle actually a lot more. And when I met my dad, I was like, I don't get it. So actually my early memories of them are very confused because I don't know which one was which.
Oh my God, how cute is
I
that?
have no idea.
So our theme for this episode actually is mixed and happy.
Yeah.
That's what you chose.
Yeah. Cool.
What memories of being mixed you have that makes you happy?
I've got negative and happy ones, but I can tell you a really shallow one.
Yeah. Go on.
I didn't really understand what it was to be mixed race for a long time. Mm-hmm. When I got to I want to say 14 or 15, I still didn't really know, as you don't, who I was and what it was to be mixed race. I didn't get it. And I remember speaking to this girl and I was like, we were just chatting and I thought she was really hot. And I was like, what kind of guys are you into? She was like, mixed race guys. And I was like, that's a thing? And I remember being like, I'm like a flavor? And I was like, oh my God, I'm people's favorite flavor. I just haven't met them yet. And it just opened up a whole world of
I love this.
People are into mixed race people. I'm mixed raced. People are into me. Wow. And
you're like, booyah!
My confidence level went through the roof. I was like, yeah, I need to find those people who are into mixed race people. I'm on the hunt.
That was also a good time, right? Because that's where you need to peak.
Yes.
As a teenage boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I peaked at 16.
After this one comment.
Yeah, honestly.
This one girl.
And no exaggeration, it was like we were sitting on a sofa and it was a eureka moment. It was like,
I am
Whoa.
hot.
I'm like paprika flavored crisps. You know, not everyone's into them, but like when you see them every night, like Lay's, you see them every now and then. You're like, you know what? I'm feeling some Lay's, and I'm paprika. And I was looking at people like, oh, ready salted.
For me, that recognition was so much later in life.
Really?
Like way after. Like I would say, late 20s, 30s is when
Really?
I know. I didn't know there was a thing called fetishization. So, my dear Drew, you've been fetishized.
Yeah. I loved it. I was like,
God, this is the difference between men and women.
Yeah.
Women go, oh my God, I cannot believe it. And you're just like, oh my God. And men are like, yes.
Yeah, I was like, I'm paprika.
So you've enjoyed being fetishized, and then you just
at
sort
the
of went
early
on a
stages.
journey.
Yeah, at the early stages, it was a whole new world. Because at the time, it was half caste, right? That was the term that was used. Oh my God,
yeah.
But that was just the term. You know? Yeah.
What year was that?
I think it ended around 2013, maybe. I never used the term mixed race. I'd say like I'm half and half. So I would refer to myself as half of something, you know. But that was because I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I was. So it was like, you know, my family would say, oh, you're half caste. So I'm like, okay, I'm half caste. I guess that's what I am. So it's a confusing one. Because
I moved to UK around the year 2000, and I do vaguely remember the half caste thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting. Do you know why people stopped calling?
Do you know what it was? I remember someone, I think it was around that time, so it was maybe around 2010, where someone used the term mixed race. And I was like, oh, that means more to me than half caste. At the point, I still hadn't analysed the term half caste, but I identified as mixed because, unlike my other mixed race friends, I wasn't half black, half white. I wasn't linear, you know, one thing. I was very much mixed race. So when I heard mixed, I was like, that's me. That's the one I identify with. So I just then refer to myself as mixed race. So from then on dating apps, on forums and things like that, what did you feel yourself? You know, what did you call yourself? Forums have always been a really confusing one for me because they're very linear in terms of like, you've got either, what is it, Caribbean, African, Asian. They seem to be the ones, so it would be like... there's white African. Yeah. So it's white, black, African, white, black. I seen one that was white, black, Somalian, because African and Somalian apparently were separate. Yeah, that came, I know, crazy. And then I seen, it's like white, black, Caribbean, white, black, blah, 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 and it was like white, other. And I always found, that really confusing. Like I always hovered around where I was, because in theory I'm white, black, Caribbean, but it was never that simple, and it still isn't. I still find it confusing. Yeah, I do other because I don't even know if they call Mediterranean people white. Whiteness is such a thing. It's like you've got to be like white to be like called that. Yeah. So I don't know. There has been some people that had corrected me when I said my mom is white. Some people were like, your mom is Mediterranean, and I'm just like, and is a Mediterranean white? I just don't know. Yeah. So maybe it's not white if it isn't Greece. Like maybe the whiteness stops at Greece, and they draw a line and they say past that point, past Cyprus. Yeah, past Cyprus is the white cut-off line, right? And then after that... That's what you look like. You look like a Cypriot. Who's that? Like a Cypriot. Like a Cypriot. From Cyprus. Yeah. Oh, yeah? Yeah, because... I'll take that. Yeah. Cypriots are gorgeous. Yeah, you do look Turkish. Yeah, I've been told Turkish, Mexican. I could get away with being like a mixed South American. Yeah. Being told that I could get away with being like a Samoan, like a mixed Samoan. Okay. Or like, you know, islands. Right. I've been told loads. It's the beauty of being mixed race. I can just completely lie to someone's face and they're like, oh yeah, cool, yeah. Yeah. And where are you from? Oh, I'm from, you know, I'm half Russian, half Portuguese. Absolutely. Yeah. But do you not get fed up with the question, what are you?
but where are you from? And you're
Yeah.
like, I'm from Cardiff. Yeah, but where?
Where are you really from? No, so you know what? I'm two ways about it. It depends on the context of the scenario. So I've been just out and out asked, like in a house party, like, oh, where are you from? Oh, I'm from down the road, Cardiff. And they're like, no, where are you from? Like, why are you brown? And it's like, oh, you know, that context, it feels forced. Like, why are you trying to get this from me? And what do you get from my answer? But other people come across it like, oh, you know, so, like, what's your heritage? Because I find it so interesting. And in that kind of context, it's like, oh, I'm happy to tell you, you know, because it's more of an inquisitive rather than a, why don't you look like everyone else in this room?
Exactly.
You know, and that question feels a bit more invasive.
Yeah. And it really does feel like you don't look like me and I need to understand why.
Why don't you look like me?
Yeah.
But that was a question I asked myself growing up. I was really confused why I wasn't white. Because my primary school was predominantly white. So I was like, but it was actually through racism that I realized I wasn't white. Because I didn't live with my dad growing up. And my mum was white. My older sister was very light-skinned. My younger sister had only just been born. And I remember being in school, and it must have been like year 3 or year 4, and someone called me a racial slur. And I was like, what? Like, it was like it must have been like year 3 or year 4, like
How
really
old are
young.
you in year 3? Sorry,
9.
I'm not familiar. Okay.
Like maybe 8.
So you didn't experience anything till then?
Nothing. No one, you know, it's kids, so you don't really understand. And then someone said a racial slur, and I was like, what? And I was so confused. And then it was that planted a seed that made me question, because I actually had short hair. I was shaved head, so I had no curls. So I didn't really understand what that meant. I thought I was tanned. So I was very confused. And even though I had black family, I didn't associate, like, black family, you mixed, you know, you're a kid. You don't associate that. I'm just a kid. So it was very confusing. It was through racism that I started to identify, like, be more self-aware. Like, why did he say that? Do I look different? Oh, I must be different. And then you look around, you're like, oh, I don't have the straight hair, and why is my, like, face a little bit different? And you start questioning it, and then you become a bit more aware. I grew up in a time where, like, indie rock was cool, so it was like Sum 41 and, like, what are they called?
Sum 41?
Blink 182.
They're not indie, are they? They're like something
It's
punk.
not like what's it called? Pop punk.
Yeah.
Pop punk. And I grew up in that era, and I remember watching Pretty Fly for a while.
That guy.
It was them. And the guy had spiky hair. Do you remember when that was really cool?
Yeah.
And I really wanted to do it. And I was like, oh, I just want... And some guy performed... I was like, you know, maybe like 9 or 10. And I was like, I just really want spiky hair. So I started growing my hair out and got some, like, cream. And I tried to do it, and it would just obviously just curl. And I was so angry. I was so angry because I was like, why can't I do it? Everyone in my school is doing it. I just want spiky hair. That I tried to cut my hair so that it would just stay spiky, and then I messed up my hair, so I had to have all my hair shaved off.
I'm glad we can laugh about it, but it really is not funny.
No.
Like, at the time.
Yeah. At the time, I was angry. I was angry because I was like, wow, why do I have curly hair? It's so annoying.
Same.
Yeah, and I was just trying to cut it so that it would just be spiky, so I could have all the spikes around.
And no one really knew how to cut curly hair.
No.
So my dad took me, for some reason, I don't know why. Dad, you still have to, like, explain this. He took me to her hairdresser, was like, we're going to have, like, cut her hair short. And they cut it, but obviously they didn't know it's going to bounce.
So it went... Dung.
And then I just ended up having all my hair, like, on... You know, and I was about 16.
Yeah.
My whole entire life is based on looking beautiful right now. Like, that's all I care about.
Yeah.
And this is what I've got.
Yeah.
It was really a hard time.
Yeah, my sister had the same. I remember she came home after my grandma had taken out to her hairdresser, who's like Italian, to cut her hair, and she came back, and it was because her hair's like mine, but she had it blow dried and cut, so it was like a middle parting, and it was like this, and then like that, and but her front was like up, and it was so funny, and she was crying. It was the funniest thing.
My wish is that maybe more youngsters can hear this. How like stupid we've been, and like how much we try to get rid of our original hair.
Yeah. With me, it was a bit different because I once I realized my hair was curly, I just let it go. Like I was like, I'm just gonna grow it out. But for a long time, people called me a sunflower because I couldn't put my hair in a bobble, and my hair was like dangly like this, and it was ringlets. So I had to put a band on it, and it was just like, you know, like a halo of hair, and I looked ridiculous for ages. But my sister didn't really use any product, so I went through so many products like gels, hairsprays, just leave-in conditioner in my hair, but not leave-in conditioner, just conditioner.
Yeah, I'm still doing that.
Yeah, I do it, but I use leave-in now. I use leave-in coconut spray. And like argan oil. That seems to be the thing that works for my hair. But it took me ages. It took me ages to figure out what it was that worked.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you don't put something in, like you just decide one day, like, I'm just going to leave it. It just...
Yeah. First of all, there is nothing around like the types of hair. I learned my hair type only in this last year.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. It's
wow.
Like, you know the curl types, like 3ABC. So I saw it first on Emma, Don't Touch My Hair, Emma Dabira's book. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, there's hair types. But it was in a racism context, so I didn't really pay attention. And then I researched it for my sister, I think. And I was like, oh, this is our hair type. And me and hers is slightly different as well. Mm-hmm. And there is nothing around this ever. There's no products that are for specific, like, I don't understand, like, it shouldn't be so hard to have, like, 4C hair, 3B hair. Like, you should be able to...
Yeah. I don't actually know my hair type.
Have a look.
I've never done it.
Have a look when you...
It'd be good to know.
Yeah.
Because there's just kills or no kills. That's your options.
No, that it depends on your how tight your curls are and your texture is. Uh-huh. So proper Afro hair is 4C, I think. So I am at 3B and C.
Is it up to C?
Yeah. So it's 3 ABC, 4 ABC, and then like 2 is sort of wavy. Because there's so many more mixed people now, and the world is becoming a lot more mixed, and these conversations.
Beige babies everywhere.
And these conversations being held a lot more, and I think it all sort of, I think this last pandemic and all this Black movement, Black Lives Matter movement, although it has been done a few times before the pandemic, but I think that is allowing people to have more conversations and like actually make more demands. So
yes. I agree.
So my next demand is basically hair type based products. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm interested.
What is belonging for you?
Love.
Oh.
I actually realised this through Black Lives Matter in the way that it wasn't intended. I think it was the big Black Lives Matter happened, not the one before. The one before started a conversation in my family. Or the one before that even started a conversation in my family. Like, I was really passionate at the time. But the one that just happened, you know, during the pandemic, it was obviously on the news. And I remember speaking to one of, like, a family friend, and they're very conservative, right-wing, pro-Nigel Farage. I know, like, really wants to marry him. And I was speaking to her, and she was like, oh, I can't believe you bother with this Black Lives Matter malarkey and, you know, really ripping into me. And my defense walls built up. And I can't remember what she said. She was like, listen, I love you so much, but you're a bit of an idiot. And I remember being like, oh. And I had like another little eureka moment. And I was about to go in. I was like, I'm gonna fucking But I was about to go in, and I was like, I love this lady. I love her, literally to the, I would do anything for her. And I remember thinking my political views shouldn't have a bearing on the relationship I have with you and the love that I have for you, which is unconditional. Therefore, your views are entitled to your own. And it actually changed my opinion. And what I realized during that moment, or during that time, was kind of, I suppose, relating to being mixed race. And, for a long time I was pushed out from different groups of people for not being full anything, like a mongrel. That actually I never fitted in anywhere. So I created what I thought was right. And in my mind, there's nothing more important than love. And I really love love. And I belong with people that I love. And I feel like that makes sense. Whoever that may be and whatever their opinions and views may be, that doesn't change from how I feel about them. They're entitled to those opinions, but we'll still go out for food. And they've been involved in my life forever. And whether that's 2 weeks or 20 years, it's like, I think to belong is to love, to me.
Wow, I wasn't expecting this. So what do you think your happy experiences being mixed?
I suppose growing up, like for example, I always ate fresh fish growing up as a kid. Whenever I go to my granddad's, he cooked fresh fish. He's an islander. He grew up on an island. He would cook us fresh fish. So I ate that. And then I go over a white friend's house and they eat fish fingers. And then they come over my granddad's house and they're like, what is that? That's a fish. And it's actually interesting because you mix with different cultures. And then when I go over my Pakistani friend's house and they're having curry, I'm like, delicious curry. But it's because I'm already used to having different flavors of things. I'm having spicy food, I'm having this. So I'm naturally open to these scenarios. I suppose being beige or gorgeous caramel, as I like to refer to myself, you can mix in with different cultures a lot easier.
Yeah.
And I find it no issue.
So there is something that I post on our Instagram. A psychologist is talking about the positive effects of being mixed on our mental health.
Okay.
And one of them was this. The second one, I think, was being able to be community builders because of our ability to mix and meet people.
I believe that.
A lot easier. And then the other one was conflict resolution.
I believe that. Yeah.
And, one woman that I'm super in love with, Priya Parker, is a mixed woman, and she's famous, the conflict resolutioner, and she has written the book over there called Art of Gathering. Her expertise is gathering, and how mixed of her to do that, right?
Yeah, 100%. I completely agree with that.
That is that. So that, would you say no? Let's think about it again.
Yeah.
What is the great things about being mixed? Go.
Mixing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say that. I never really think about it too much because it's just normal. It's just normal everyday life. A lot of my friends, different races, different ethnic backgrounds, and it's never been an issue. Especially when I'm from an area of where you are ostracized so much because you're not fully anything. It makes life a lot easier to be accepting.
There you go. That's your good stuff. You're a lot more accepting.
It's one of those things where you're never fully anything, so you're open to anything.
That can be a dangerous thing too.
Mm-hmm.
We know about that.
Yeah. True. True.
Would you say that community is really important for you? I'm just sure that.
Yes, it is. But the definition of community is flexible.
What is your definition of community?
Anyone, anywhere, in a group of people,
That you
regardless.
love.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really know what my definition of community is.
Who is your people?
I don't have people. I have friends, but there's no group of people that I directly identify with, apart from Manchester United fans.
They are your community.
No, I don't really have a community. And I don't see that as a negative.
No, I don't.
Makes me more flexible. It means I can slot into a community at any moment. With what I do, I mean, I'm on a job for 6 months and I go to a job not knowing anyone, and it's fine.
Yeah, and you don't feel out of place.
No. It used to be referred to as like a social butterfly. I never really found it difficult to mix into different groups of people. I'm like an extroverted introvert. I have a lot of socializing in me, and I can be the loudest person in the room at any given moment, but I've got a battery, and when that battery runs out, I need to recharge. So I can speak to people for a long time, and then I really like me time. And I spend I really enjoy time to myself.
Were you always like that?
Always. You know, I realize now at this point, I'm not black, I'm not white, I'm mixed, but what does that mean? And I didn't understand how people had the same group of friends, and like they had the same group of friends from like primary school until now. And I never had that, and I was friends with them, but I didn't really understand how that worked, and I still don't really understand it that much. Like, I'm still a bit confused about it. You know, I have a group of boys, and we're a very tight-knit group of boys, but, you know, we're all kind of similar.
You're all mixed,
sense.
right?
We're all mixed,
boys.
yeah. We're all kind of similar in that sense, you know. I went to school with one of them, but we weren't even friends until later on because we had a fight. And then later on in life, we became friends, and then and you know, me being me, I disappeared, and then I came back.
May I just say, they are your people.
Yeah,
You're
they
like,
are.
oh, I'm happy.
We're
They
all
are your
misfits.
Yes, exactly.
We're all misfits fitting together.
And I hope now things make a little bit more sense to you, because you've never maybe perhaps sat down and talked about being mixed before.
No, only once. It was very vague.
So can I take credit? Or?
100%. Yeah, 100%.
This is a bit that I nicked from RuPaul.
Love RuPaul.
Good. So, Drew.
She already done her horses.
Sorry. So, Drew, this is little Drew, 10-year-old Drew.
Oh.
What would you want to say to 10-year-old Drew? Now. Talk to him.
Yeah. You belong. And you are...
This is where everyone's crying.
You are great the way you are. And don't try and fit in just because you don't. Because one day people will think you're so cool. Because you don't fit in.
Do they think you're cool now?
People, I don't know. I'm unapologetically me. Because I have to be. And that's just who I am. Before it wasn't cool. Now it's just different because I don't conform.
That was really emotional, and I'm a little bit teary. I really am. Yeah. Just keep being different or a misfit, and it's gonna be fine at one point. Yeah.
Even if it isn't. Be unapologetically you.
Is this what you would tell other young mixed folks?
Oh, yeah. I think if I could speak to young kids, I mean, especially mixed kids, because when I was younger, it was black or white on the TV, and I didn't see a lot of people to look up to. And I actually had a conversation with someone who's mixed race, and he thanked me for being me. And I was like, what are you on about? And he's a bit younger than me, he's maybe 5-6 years younger. And he was like, thanks, because I watched you wearing dangly earrings and tight jeans and like being different and not being classic black or white. And that really helped me form who I was. And I actually never thought about it because I was just being me because there was no one to look up to who looked like me. And I understand it now, and I understand the impact that that can have on someone's life. And I think it's really important to have people to look up to. Yeah.
So would you say you've not had role models?
I never had a role model, no. I mean, I had family role models, you know, and I had people I aspired to be, but I never looked like them. And it was actually only very recently, like maybe 3 or 4 months ago, I like went through my Instagram and followed a bunch of mixed race fashion people. because I'd never seen it before. Like, I'd never actively seen it before. And growing up, there was no one mixed race older than me being mixed raced. I know that sounds stupid,
No.
but I had no...
Remember who you're talking to.
Yeah, I had no one to understand what it, what it was to be mixed race. It was black or white or Spanish or whatever. So I just had to figure it out. And through figuring it out, I feel like now I potentially have some information to share backwards to younger people that hopefully then, not to do what I did, but to be unapologetically them. And you don't have to conform to stereotypes of being black, white, Asian. You can just be the human you are.
And embrace all of those parts whenever you feel like it. That is what I'm learning, to not worry about looking one part or not the other, and just having my own sort of mixture.
Mm-hmm.
Just having my own blend of it, basically.
Yeah, we are the mixed tango ices in the cinema. Sometimes you don't want pink, sometimes you don't want blue, but we always go for the mixed one. Love those tango ice blasts.
Thank you so much. This has been wonderful.
Thank you. It's great to speak. Sometimes you feel things, but when you speak them, they become real. And it's nice to have, the opportunity to do that with you. So thank you.
Yeah. Stay in tune, everyone. We've got more episodes coming. And also, please subscribe, because that apparently helps us being seen. Yeah. Also, share with mixed folks because we want to build our own community of mixed folks.
Yes.
And that's what we are about. So thank you for watching. Thanks, Drew, for being here. And see you next time.
Hit the subscribe button here.
Where is it?
It could be here.
Oh, here. Just look around. Do the work.
Right here. Peace.